Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. I hope you've had a fantastic week like I've had. I mean, I had a couple of days away in a beautiful little beachside suburb, North Queensland, and it was lovely. It was lovely to get away. And I think it's been a very busy year for a lot of people where we just haven't had time to catch our breath or, you know, do something a little bit different or even do something for yourself that's out of the ordinary regime. It's been a very difficult year around the world with, you know, with COVID-19 and many countries and nations all going into elections. And it's like, wow, is this year ever going to finally sort of settle down that we can catch our breath and sort of move forward? Well, probably not, because we're in, you know, the last home stretch of the year now. I mean, you know, October's nearly done. We're nearly in November and then, you know, December, and we're heading into the holiday season, which is actually my favourite time of the year, because I sort of feel that no matter what's gone on in the previous months of the year, we can all start to look forward to the potential of something new, exciting, maybe different, more calming for the new year that's coming towards us at a great pace now. And a lot of people sort of say to me, oh, why would you love Christmas so much? And the reasons why I love Christmas so much is people are usually happy. They're looking at things with wonderment in their eyes and excitement and positivity and sort of just hoping for people to get along and people to sort of be kind and to be giving. And I'm not always talking about giving of gifts, but giving of themselves, of being patient, of being kind, of being generous, and just trying to bring some joy to the world. And that's the reasons why I love the festive season or the holiday season so much, is that I think it puts a smile on our face that we don't necessarily have through the remainder of the year, where we're all sort of fighting and jockeying for position and trying to pay the bills and go to work and keep some sort of balance and harmony in our lives in these mad, uncertain times. And this year's certainly been a big year in that way, that, you know, it's sort of like we can catch our breath a little bit at the holiday season and say, okay, let's be thankful for what we have, where we're going, and the fact that we have our health. And I think this year that's going to be the main theme as we head into the holiday season, is our health. Are we looking after ourselves and our fellow man in the way that we're conducting our lives? And it was really interesting for me to sort of step out of my little bubble here on the Gold Coast and, you know, go on a little driving holiday 6-7 hours away from home, to see how people react very differently in different parts. And where I was in this beautiful little beachside suburb, you wouldn't have thought COVID-19 even existed. People were going about their daily business as if nothing had ever happened. And I found that a little bit mystifying, that they didn't seem to sort of understand, I think, you know, things like social distancing and, you know, being aware of, you know, what you were doing and what surfaces you were touching. And that really surprised me. And it opened my eyes to think that not everybody maybe has been as impacted by this or taken the enormity on that they should. And that's a little bit of a concern. If we start to become complacent, then this virus will beat us. And I think that's the major message that I want to share with everybody this week. As much as we might be COVID tired and we might be over it and we're sick of it and we're sick of thinking about it and hearing about it and having the rules change all the time, maybe we've just got to double down a little bit more and be very consciously aware of what we do as individuals. And that's something that I think we can all take responsibility for. And whether that's something as simple as being mindful when you go out of keeping your social distance, if masks are required in your area, then wear them. Don't hang them around your neck like a necklace. Wear them. They're there for a reason. And be mindful of that other people may not be as mindful as you are of keeping their social distance. If somebody starts to encroach on your personal space, then move back, step to a side, move out of the room, walk away from the situation. That spells volumes. If we can all start to do that, I think we can collectively around the globe show COVID-19 the door. And I think that's what we need to do. So that brings me to my card of the week, which is the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords is a young man up to the age of 25. And not all of us are going to have a young man up to the age of 25 with hazily brown eyes and mid-brown hair coming into our lives. But most of us will be able to relate to the secondary message, which is speedy situational finish. And I would like to think that by each and every one of us taking control of our own actions, not just today, not just tomorrow, and not just this next week, but over the months ahead of us, that we can all show COVID-19 the rear exit, that we can all move forward in a much, much more positive way and get our world back to some sort of space of normality that we all so desperately want, that we're all looking for normality in our lives. So let's all double down this week and make it our mission to really sort of focus on what we need to do to help beat COVID-19, to put it in the rear vision mirror, as I'd like to say. So it's very, very interesting week astrologically, and I've been saying that all year. We've been having such big weeks astrologically. I don't know a time in all the years that I've been in astrology where things have been so powerful and so intense, or that's as it seems. And it's not just because we're in COVID times. Astrologically, we'd be here anyway. The stars aren't governed by viruses or political parties or my personal opinion. The facts are the facts. So this week I want to talk about Venus, the planet of love and affection, which is sitting in Virgo at the moment. So some people are sort of analysing their love relationships or their family situations and really putting everything under the microscope. And they're starting to ask themselves, why am I here? What is this all about? Is there some ways I can improve my relationship or the person that I'm in love with, or can I improve the loving sort of energy within my family, within my inner circle? And for some people, that's a very uncomfortable place to sit, because we've had so much time this year to look inside ourselves and work out who we are and where we're going and what we want. Now, this sort of seems to be sort of almost like a little bit of a cruel joke by the universe, asking us to sort of really take the microscope out again and have another look. But at the same time, we've got Venus opposing or sitting at opposite ends from the planet Neptune. Now, Neptune's sitting in Pisces. Neptune's the planet of illusion and delusion. It's also the planet of creativity. It's where our inspiration comes from. By allowing ourselves to have a little bit of a daydream or to just be, we sometimes get the most informative, exciting new breakthroughs in our life. So I suppose with Venus opposition or sitting at opposite ends of Neptune at the moment, it's asking us to, yes, take the blindfold off, have a really good look at what's going on in our love connected relationships in our life, but it's also asking us to just be. Be and let the opposition do its magic. Let the opposition take us into a little bit of a fog or a little bit of a dreamland to look at things in maybe a different set of eyes. And once we've been there and looked at that, maybe we can then bring back some different information, some different ways of dealing with things, that not always walking away from someone is the answer. Sometimes we just need to approach it with a different lens, and then we get a different outcome because people are reacting to our behaviour in a different sort of way. Now, we also have Mercury retrograde, which is the planet of communication. And as I spoke about last week on the show, this retrograde will go well and truly into November. Now, a lot of astrologers tend to cut it off the day that Mercury sort of becomes stationary or stands still. I like to take it to when Mercury actually starts to go direct again, because we have anything up to 5 days where Mercury sits in a stationary position that is no longer going retrograde or backwards, but it's just sitting there, gathering momentum to sort of start the car up again to charge forward. Now, that date will not be until November 6th or the 6th of November if you're here in the Southern Hemisphere. So we've still got a little bit of time to go yet. And for a lot of people around the world, it's election fever. As I said, here in Australia, we've got one here in Queensland before then. So it's sort of like, you know, everybody, if you're not burnt out from COVID, then you seem to be burnt out from electoral nonsense that's going on about elections, and you just want to sort of turn all the media off and say, you know, just give me some nice music instead so that I can sort of chill out and regather my strength. So we have to be very careful when we're listening to things or looking at people's conversations at the moment. Are they telling us the truth? Are they telling us BS? Are we really listening to what's being said, or are we only cherry picking out of it the bits we want to hear and sort of dismissing the rest? It's a very difficult time. If anybody had a brain, they certainly wouldn't be going to an election during this period of time if they believed in astrology, because you would know that people are not really paying attention to the message that you're trying to share. And sometimes I think during these Mercury retrogrades, we become numb to things, that we don't even really want to focus on anything, because trying to think sort of almost hurts your head. So anyway, for those of you that have got to go to the polls or cast a vote during this time, make sure that you really listen. Make sure that you really fully understand the candidate and the person that you want to represent you. Now more than ever, your vote does count wherever you are in the world, and it's probably never been this serious as it is now, because we're voting in people that are going to take on board looking after our health, not just the economic health of the country and the nation or the world or their trading partners, but our personal physical health. And that has to be number one at the top of your decision making in who you're going to vote for, as in how and will they deliver the best outcome for you and your immediate family and the people that are closest to you. So we've got the last days of the sun being in Libra, which in a few days' time it moves into Scorpio. So the energy will become more intense, will become more introspective. Some people will find it's almost like a slap in the face that the energy moves out of Libra into Scorpio, and it's like, wow, you know, I really felt that sort of shift, because all of a sudden things become more somber, things become more intense, things become more, not so much negative, but I feel the real energy of the change out of air into water. So be aware of that as well. We have our usual culprits. We have Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn all sitting in Capricorn. That's, you know, been there for a long time. We've been talking about it all year. The only difference this week is we've got the part of fortune, which is not a planet, but the Arabian parts is sitting there just before Jupiter. So to me, this is a positive sign that we all have the opportunity to dig deep in ourselves and really sort of start to look at what's going to improve our lives. And I take that back on board towards anybody that's got a vote in any sort of election. Look at this as your vote does count. You have the power of casting your vote, your opinion. Don't waste it. So the candle of the week that I've chosen this week is Angels and Guides. And the reason that I did that was I felt that we all need to get in touch with our angels, our guides, our belief systems, whoever we believe in. Whether you're religious or not, we all have somebody that is guiding us. And I think it's time now that we spend a little bit of time meditating or staring into a candle, even if it's only for a few minutes and it's a household grade candle, that's fine. Put on your favourite piece of music and just let your mind be still and allow yourself to just be. Some people will get information going in and out of their minds. Other people will feel a feeling of nothingness, but it's just like, gee, it's nice to be still, to not even think about anything and to get off this madness train just even for a few minutes. And that's what I think we all need to do this week, is just take some time out of our busy days, every day, minimum of 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to be better, but where we can either just light a candle and stare into the flame of it, or put your favourite piece of music on your device, just close your eyes and relax and enjoy it and just allow everything to be still. That will sort of re-energise you, and it will also reset your thinking and help you cope with what's coming up as we head into this very busy time of the year. So I hope that sort of helped you understand a little bit of how intense the energy is at the moment, and that we're all experiencing it. No matter where we are in the world, we are all going through this. Now we're going to talk to Brandy in Gettysburg in Pennsylvania. Are you there, Brandy?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, sweetie?
I just want to know if everything's going to work out with my brother.
Okay, I can tune into that for you. It's really, really interesting, because what they're showing me is that your brother's been on a path now for a while where it's sort of like he gets going and then he sort of stops dead, and then he sort of gets going again and then he stops again. It's almost like he's lacking in a little bit of confidence to sort of push through to the end on a number of situations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's not a strong person. I think he's incredibly strong. I think just sometimes I think he gets a little bit nervous about, am I on the right path? Is this what I really want to be doing? And that's when he sort of stops himself, and it's almost like he stops dead in his tracks while he sort of realigns his thinking and sort of has a quick look around and says, no, 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 let's go again. But when he starts going again, it's not always with full confidence or full throttle. He does it because he's too frightened to stand still and look at himself long enough as well. So it's a really unusual way that they're showing it to me. But over all of that, I'm going to say, yes, I do think things will work out. I do think they'll be maybe slightly different to where he started to what the end result will be, but it will certainly be where he's meant to be. And this is a good thing because he sort of feels as if he's wasted his talent and his opportunities at times in his life, and he probably has. But, you know, I always look at, if that's what's meant to be, will be anyway, regardless of what someone else sees you should or shouldn't have done. He's actually precisely right where he should be. Has he just moved house or is about to move?
No, he's incarcerated.
Right, but
he's not coming home he's not coming home anytime soon.
No, look, I think there's going to be some changes there. You know, like when they show me moving house, if he can't literally pack up and move, I would take that as a sign that there's something changing with where he is, with him being incarcerated. Either they're going to change his sentence and shorten it, or they're going to move him to another facility, or something is shifting.
They literally just moved him a couple weeks ago to a different facility.
Right, okay. Well, that's the change then that I saw.
Okay.
I actually think he's doing very well under the circumstances. So it's an interesting situation because I think in the past he was too easily led, and I think that this time of being incarcerated has made him look at things for what they truly are. You know what I mean? He sees now the mistakes that he made and what he's got to do to get his life back on track. Look, all I can tell you is that I know whatever his sentence is, it's going to be very drastically reduced.
Okay. That's what we were hoping for. We're praying.
We'll keep that up because when they showed me that move, after that was coming a massive change, and I couldn't quite work out what they were trying to explain to me. So if he's not supposed to be, say, released, let's just use this as a benchmark, for 2 years, I'm going to say to you within 8 months he'll be out. You know, like there's something speeding up. And it's not just because he's been a good boy in there. There's a number of factors all coming together that will enable this to happen. So keep praying, keep the faith, keep strong, and just keep supporting him and knowing that this was the path that he was meant to walk, regardless of what we think. This is part of his journey. He had to experience this.
And he's come to realize that's what this is his life plan, that so be it. But he'll do that if that's what it takes to protect his family.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not easy when, you sit there and say, well, this is what was destined to happen. Why was this destined to happen? We don't understand that as human beings, but sometimes there's things that happen in our life were going to happen regardless of whatever road we took. And this is one of those situations with him. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done the wrong thing. I'm just saying this was part of his journey that was predestined for him before he drew breath. So if you can look at it in that way, it's almost like we can heal the situation by understanding it in that way. That, God or whoever you believe in does work in mysterious ways. And sometimes we as mere mortals don't quite understand the reasons for the lessons or the journey that we take, but understand it is all part of our soul's journey, and we do that regardless. We can try and minimize it or change the course and direction, but ultimately we get pulled back to where we need to be. Anyway, Brandy, I wish you well. That's where I've got to leave it, sweetie. I've got to go on to my next caller, which is Tammy from Warsaw in Missouri in the USA. Are you there, Tammy?
Yes.
You have a question for me, sweetie?
My husband's been gone about 4 years, and I'm having a hard time dealing with it. And I just need to know if he's okay, and if he's here, and if he's mad at me.
Okay, sweetie. Look, I'm sorry that he walked out and hasn't sort of contacted you. That must be really heart-wrenching to sort of try and get up each day and sort of wonder what's going on and not have any sort of answers to anything. It's really interesting because I'm going to say to you, I don't think he's that far away from you. He's always with you, sweetheart, even though he might not be able to be physically with you. He seems to be with you all the time. When you say he went away, do you sort of feel as if this is never going to change, as if you're never going to find peace out of this situation? Yes, I gathered that, sweetie. But do you feel as if you're not finding any peace, even though it's been 4 years?
I'm not. Yeah.
There's no boss timetable for how quickly we work through grief. Can I make a suggestion to you? And I have been widowed myself many, many years ago now. It's not an easy time. There is no timetable that says one day you wake up and everything's right again with the world. But let me share with you something that was shared with me all those years ago. It was a lady I met at a bus stop one day who just took my hand and said, one day you'll wake up and the sky will be blue, not grey as it is now. And they were the most comforting words out of anything that anybody'd ever shared with me. Darling, there is no timetable for when your tears are going to stop flowing or when you're going to stop feeling as if the world has stood still. And why is everybody else getting on with their lives around you and you're not? That's just part of grief that we all have to work through. Can I also suggest that you get yourself a copy of a book called On Death and Dying by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. That will be the most comforting book that you can read. And you don't have to read it from cover to cover. Even if you just open up a section of the book and read that paragraph or that page, you will find this woman spent her whole life working on grief, on how to deal with it, how to cope with it. And she talks about it in the 7 different stages of grief and how we get locked into different areas of grief because that's our own personal part of the journey. I know for me, I was very angry for a very long time that how dare he leave me? And nobody sort of really understands that. And I know that that's part of what you're going through, is that you struggle with, you get angry with him, but yet at the same time you don't feel that you have the right to be angry with him because he left you. And it's interesting because people that are around us try and say there and try and stop you from talking or sharing your stories or the things that can help heal you, is that we need to be able to talk about it. We need to be able to express our emotions freely, not just because it's past 12 months and all of a sudden you're supposed to be miraculously healed. It doesn't quite work that way. But if you can sort of acknowledge the fact that, your husband may not be physically here with you, but darling, I can assure you he has not left your side from the other side. He is with you every step of the way. And it's actually making him sad to see you so sad. What he wants to see is your beautiful smile again. He wants to see you start to take the reins to your life and live life for both of you. Not just living life for yourself, but live life for both of you. And that's really important because he feels responsible that he can't wipe your tears away, that he can't put a smile on your face anymore. He feels, it's bad enough that he had to leave you and had to pass over, but to feel incredibly responsible as he does, that he's preventing you from living your life to the full, that's not what you want. You wouldn't want to make him sad or unhappy. You want him to be with you in a loving sort of way. So if you can just try and do a little bit each day, try and do something that's going to make your heart sing, that in turn will help him. And, people talk about earthbound spirits. I don't know that people necessarily get earthbound, but they have enough to contend with when they pass through to the other side, because they've lost everybody. We've lost one person. So to help them on their journey, where they can help you more, we have to be able to sort of show them that we can work through the emotion of grief, and that, you know, and getting angry or feeling cheated is part of that grieving process that is very, very important. So don't stop yourself. I mean, you know, if you want to stand there and stamp your feet and jump up and down and call him everything under the sun and how dare you leave me, that's okay. That's healthy. That's healthy stages of grief. You know, it's not just always about the tears. It can be about being angry. It can be feeling abandoned. It can be about lots of different sort of emotions. It, you know, some people I've spoken to over the years told me that they wore the same outfit day in and day out for months because they knew their husband hated it. Why would you, you know, we think, why would you do something like that? But it was their way of expressing their anger, their frustration, their disappointment, their sadness that he'd left them. It was like, well, here, I'll show you. I know you always hated this dress with the roses on it. Well, I'm going to wear it. And it's sort of almost like a defiance. But they're all still very natural stages of grief. He wants to see your eyes twinkle again. He wants to see you step out and regain your life. That's really, really, really important. And know that he has never, ever left you, darling, and he never, ever will. But he doesn't want to see you live your life by yourself either. He wants you to take the reins to your life again. So, Tammy, I hope that sort of helped you, sweetheart. It's a really tough time, but you've got to now consciously try and make each day something special for him. A few minutes each day in a positive way for your husband and his memory. And that's what you need to do for him, darling, and that will help you move through your stages of grief. I wish you well, and I know it's not an easy time, and it's not coming to an easy time with the holidays, but try and do something positive for him. Put a space at the Christmas table for him and remember him that way. So I hope this has helped you, sweetheart. And, you know, it's always a very, very difficult time. So that's where we're going to leave that, caller. I hope for anybody that's going through grief, I hope that little bit of my spiel about grief and how to cope with it has helped you. It's a very personal time. It's not something that we can say these are the right ways or the wrong ways to deal with it. We all need to do what we do as personal individuals. For those of you that want to know a little bit more, over on my website you'll find a workshop called My Angel in the Sky, and that's where we deal with the matters of grief. Until next week, bye for now.